Douglas Blair Roberts here, the Super Vader 400, and of course, the brown skin human come back at you with another series of reviews. And this time, this is the intro portion to my various webcam and narration, various webcam video, video game, off-camera video game adaptation reviews. The first two I've already completed are the Street Fighter 1994 film and Double Dragon. I'm going to talk briefly about both of these for a moment. Let's start off with Street Fighter 1994. That was the first one I recorded. Street Fighter 1994. Street Fighter 1994. This is a review. This is also a review rant because there's several problems I have with most of these video game based adaptations. In Street Fighter 1994, awesome 90s flick. It's not all that great today, but it's an awesome 90s flick and one of my all-time favorite films of all time. A great 90s flick and a great alternate world Street Fighter, but a poor and terrible adaptation of Street Fighter. But it led to several good things. And it had a very awesome DVD, which the Futurette was even better than the quote-unquote DVD itself. I didn't mention this in the part two portion of this video, but that's one of the best DVDs ever. There are various films that I think are better than Street Fighter 1994 that have terrible, poor DVDs. Street Fighter 94 had an awesome DVD, as did its successor, the Street Fighter, The Legend of Chun-Li, which I'm going to be ranting on that in the future. But so that was the Street Fighter 1994 film. And as an adult, still remains one of my all-time favorite films. Have a bunch of problems with it though, as I will be ranting on in the part two off-camera webcam narration. Then you got Double Dragon 1994, awesome. You have Double Dragon 1994, another awesome video game movie, another awesome 90s action comedy flick. But the film itself, just like with Street Fighter, this film would have been much better if it wasn't called Double Dragon, because it destroys the game in various scenes. But there were lots of positives, and I felt when it released got a lot of unneeded hate, with one of the only positive comments being from Gene Siskel and Roger Ebert, who said they didn't like it, but they knew kids would like it. I was a kid when this came out, and I was a kid when I saw it, and I still enjoy it several years later. There's a bunch of problems, but there's lots of positives too. And it did a good job of, while destroying the game, did a good job of capturing the spirit of Double Dragon, incorporating various things from the game and cartoon, as I talk about in the part two off-camera web narration. So with that being said, what I'm made of and will be used as the intros for this, because some of these video game adaptations will be part rants. So with that being said, let's show these adaptations what we're made of. time for the second part of my second web camera review of the 1994 Street Fighter live action film starring Jean-Claude Van Damme and the late Raul Julia. Yeah, like I've said, plenty of videos about this movie. I first saw this movie in 1998. I was flipping channels and saw the opening scene of Guile and Bison. Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile and the late Raul Julia as Bison. Bison arguing with each other, and back then, if you had a guy in blue or green in blue or green army camo with black or brown boots, or a deadly mixture of the two, it was Guile. If you had a guy in a red sailor captain dictator outfit with a blue cape and power bands, gloves, and kick pads and shin guards, it was Bison. Especially with the signature Captain Dictator hat. The Captain Dictator hat, it was a quote-unquote Bison. On the bed, you can see the DVD. This is a review of both the DVD, a review and rant of the DVD and the internet stream. Yeah, this is not only, like I said, this is not only a review, this is also a rant, because while I love this movie as an adult, I have several problems with it. This movie was a great 90s flick. When I think the 90s, this is one of the movies that comes to mind. I get nostalgic every time I quote unquote watch it. But nowadays it's not such a good movie. It's a good 90s action flick, and Jean-Claude Van Damme action movie, which is pretty much what this is. But this right here, and while it's a good alternate world Street Fighter, this is a poor adaptation of Street Fighter. I see what they tried to do, but they should not have done it. I'm going to talk more about that in this is the review when I get to the movie. Now, let me start the movie right now.
Manila, Hong Kong, Shadaloo. You try to justify your con games by telling yourself
like I said,
you've been stealing from criminals.
Like I said, as an alternate world Street Fighter, it's okay. I do like several changes they made, such as changing the rivalries. Instead of Ken and Vega, the two pretty boys going at it, Ken feuds with and beefs with Sagat in this film. Ryu, instead of feuding with Sagat beefs with and feuds with Vega, who he gets into a fight with earlier in the film, and the fight is interrupted and settled later at the end. These changes I actually did enjoy. I didn't mind Balrog being a part of the good guys, which was kind of weird. I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't he a bad guy? This was even weird as a child. But Balrog was cool. And I liked his what's his statement? I liked his introduction. I liked the introduction of everyone. Everyone in the film was good, especially the original 8 the 12 warriors. It was the new challengers who got the shaft, who were just downright terrible. With Cammy being the best of the new challengers because she was the most popular, and Steven D'Souza, the guy who directed this film, said that was his favorite of the new challengers, and that T-Hawk, who along with DJ got it the worst. T-Hawk was his least favorite character. T-Hawk was just a Native American version of Guile. Lacked the muscle mass and looked nothing like his video game counterpart. The only thing we got from T-Hawk was the signature choke slam, a real life version. Australian pop singer Kylie Minogue was a much better, was a quote unquote much better, was a much better Chun-Li, was a much better Cammy. She was a good Cammy, but she was mostly just a British version of Guile in this film. And Faye Long, he probably got it the worst of anyone because his character was dropped in favor of Captain Sawada. They claimed that Faye Long, it's two reasons. I think the first was copyrights, and the second most popular was that he was way too generic to be part of the cast. It was funny because the character they created, Captain Sawada, was even more generic. It was just a generic Asian version of Guile, is what this guy was. He was much better in the cartoon. Next thing you had DJ Love, the actor Miguel Munez. This actor practically played DJ in an episode in the Return of the Living Dead. He played a DJ-like character, in that film. So this guy was born to play DJ, and like at the end, he was wearing baggy attire similar to DJ. At the end of the film, where everyone pretty much transformed into their Street Fighter characters. But I hated at first he was with Bison. He was with Bison for most of the film, and he did no fighting. He was just a computer tech guy, an errand boy for Bison, quote unquote Bison. Yeah, the cast of actors and actresses was great, even though for several characters I would have got different people. First one I'm going to talk about is Sagat. Wes Studi was an awesome Sagat. Not the Sagat from the games, but a pretty good, close and good adaptation of Sagat. Instead of being the god of Muay Thai, he's a drug trafficker and a quote-unquote a retired fighter who previously fought as Iron Fist instead of being the god of Muay Thai like he is in the video game. He was a great Sagat. Even though I would have got Tung Po from the Kickboxer. Or the guy who I think his name was Bender, the main antagonist of Van Damme's other film, Cyborg. I would have got him. I would have got either of those two to play Sagat in this film. So yeah. Then you got Guile. Jean-Claude Van Damme. He was a phenomenal Guile. I love his portrayal, but I did not like his personality in this film. And while he does visually in the face resemble Guile and has a fighting style resembling Guile, despite lacking the iconic broom hair, when I saw the opening scenes of Guile and Bison talking trash to each other via monitor, I immediately knew they were their characters. I immediately knew Van Damme was Guile, so he was a pretty good Guile. However, I didn't like his personality. He wasn't badass and tough enough. I think Guile thinks someone tough, no nonsense. Van Damme played a goofy, cocky but brave action hero. That was mostly his description of his character in this film, and that's what he mostly played in this film. The role he plays in all the other films. Actually, speaking of other films, in other films like Universal Soldier, Lionheart, Time Cop, and Cyborg, he played a Guile. He played a much better Guile in those films in comparison to the cocky but brave, corny Colonel. He's supposed to be a lieutenant, but Colonel in this film. And Raul Julia, the late great Raul Julia, was a phenomenal Bison was a phenomenal Bison. One of my all-time favorite incarnations of Bison is Raw Julia. However, I would have got someone younger, unknown, and healthier to play Bison. Is one thing I didn't like. One thing I didn't like, even the Legend of Chun-Li, which was worse than this movie, but it did several things better than this movie. One thing it did do better than this movie was in the Legend of Chun-Li, that Bison, Neil McDonald, that Bison, while they consider his Bison to be inferior to Raw Julia's, and it probably is, I like how that Bison was younger, and much more powerful in comparison to the Bison here, because the actor trainer Neil McDonald was much younger at the time and was young enough to give a good fight. Was young enough to give the main character of that film, Chun-Li, a good fight. Because Raw Julia was in poor health and later died before this film was even released. He quote unquote he was portrayed in this film as an average fighter. He was strong against regular soldiers and regular people, but against elite fighters, especially fighters like Guile and Chun-Li, he was pitiful against fighters like that, and had to mostly rely on his soldiers surrounding them, and then later his psycho power when fighting Bison.
Done, your 5 minutes are up. Move out. Honda. Gotta go, bro.
Bison. Now before I continue with other stuff from the games, let's get to the storyline. Like the storyline, it's a good alternate world Street Fighter. The film is vastly similar to the James Bond film, Commando, Die Hard, Van Damme's previous films, Universal Soldier, Time Cop, Cyborg, and Double Impact. Those quote unquote movies. Those quote unquote movies and quote unquote movies. But so yeah, it's vastly similar to those movies. Instead of a tournament plot, which they should have done, they incorporated the Street Fighter characters and wrapped them up and incorporated into an action adventure comedy based movie. The film also feels like its attempt at a G.I. Joe based cartoon. The plot is Bison has kidnapped hundreds of hostages and is holding them ransom for a $1 million fee that he demands from the AN Guile's the army, the military branch. Guile fights for Guile crashes a underground fight between Ryu, Ken, Sagat, and Vega. Sagat and quote unquote Vega. Sagat and crashes between Sagat, Vega, Ryu, and Ken, and arrests everyone there and comes up with a plan to use Ryu and Ken as spies to infiltrate Bison's base. Meanwhile, while in prison, Ken and Ryu get into fights with all the other prisoners. And it's here. This is where Guile gets a look at Ryu and Ken's fighting ability, and as those two come with him, and so of course they stage a prison break, which has Guile faking his death, Chun-Li, after reconciling with Guile, then eventually fleeing from him, Guile tries to arrest her. Guile, Cammy, and T-Hawk rescue her. She reveals her plan. In this film, she's a news reporter, but she's not looking for a story. She's just looking for a way. She's just looking for a cover up to get close to Bison, close to Bison. This is where Guile rescues her because Guile says it's not about personal vendetta, it's about saving lives. It's about saving lives, but then he contradicts himself by saying it's about my vendetta. And it's here where Chun-Li it's here where Chun-Li Chun-Li escapes and rendezvous with her partners E Honda and Balrog, who are gifted with technology and part of her crew, they after an awkward meeting they meet Ryu and Ken and enlist their help. Ryu and Ken are forced to betray them when they accidentally walk in on Bison and Sagat about to fight, about to kill each other because Sagat was prepared, Bison was prepared to pay Sagat in fake Bison dollars. But Kid and Ryu accidentally walk in and then Kid and Ryu, in order to save their necks, they reveal that there are enemy spies among us, and it is here where Chun-Li's plan, the video reveals Chun-Li's plan to put a bomb inside a truck and have it run into the tent. Bison and Sagat's men are killing all of them. Bison killing all of them. Ryu and Ken are then rewarded with clean clothing were rewarded by Bison with clean clothing to join Bison's armies. Here where they get their iconic white and red geese, and then white and red geese, and then they get ambushed by quote unquote ambushed by Balrog and Honda for betraying them earlier, to which Kid comically says we're on the same side, to which Balrog said I think he said he can meet us outside, and the Kid yells no, I said we're on the same side. And Bison, who has Chun-Li chained up in his room, gets out of his uniform and into his pajamas, and it's here where he gives his iconic Tuesday line where Chun-Li is just talking about how Bison was just he hadn't become dictator yet. He was just a petty drug lord. He was a petty drug lord. How he visited Chun-Li's village, killed her father, and ran, and him and his gang of bullies ran for their lives, and then ran for their lives, and then Bison gave the iconic line. I don't remember any of it. Honey, the day I graced your village was the most important day of your life. But for me, it was Tuesday. And Chun-Li was just shocked and hurt that he didn't remember any of it. And then Bison bluffs Chun-Li by saying, I've never seen you in combat. I've no women, and you are no fighter. You hide behind your boxer and sumo. That's what Chun-Li breaks her chains and said, that's what I want you to say. She breaks her chains and beats the living daylights out of Bison. Everyone hears Chun-Li screaming Chun-Li's battle cries, and they mistake it for screams. So Honda, Balrog, Ryu, King all arrive there. And Bison turns on some gas, which knocks each of them out. He takes them all prisoner. Meanwhile, Guile forms a battle strategy of his own with Cammy, T-Hawk, and Captain Sawad and the rest of the AN to go to Shadow City and go and confront and bring down Bison and rescue the hostages themselves. This is where Guile gives the memorable speech to the AN officials, superiors who are ready to appeal Bison's demands. And Guile And Guile says, "You're joking. You've lost your balls. What's the stopping from taking from taking more hostages next week and asking for more money?" He says it, and then God gives the iconic speech. He says, "Peace, things like peace and justice, they get packed up. We can all go home. We can all go home. Bison will get paid up for his crimes, and people who have died here would have died for nothing." So then he says, "I am not going home. I am going on my boat, and I'm going across town to kick that son of a bitch Bison's ass so hard that the next Bison wannabe will feel it." Everyone cheers. Everyone cheers. One of the scenes I remember the most. I remember the most before finally purchasing this DVD again in the mid 2000s to watch again, and then they all go, and after a memorable airship battle where Bison delivers his another famous line when Sagat sees that Guile is still alive, and Bison turns around and says, of course," and then Sagat saying, "I guess you didn't see that his death was designed to negotiate his spies with you. I guess you didn't see that, huh, Sagat?" And then after a cannon warship battle, finally Guile, Cammy, T-Hawk, and the rest of Ant touch down in Shadaloo City. Take out 2 guards and infiltrate the base. It is here where Guile encounters his friend Blanca, who was one of the soldiers sent to stop Bison. Bison instead knocked him out. And subjugated him to Spearless transforming Charlie, the character Charlie, into the monstrous Blanca character, combining Guile's old deceased war buddy Charlie and Blanca into one character. This right here, while different, was so genius. I often forget that these two in the games, Charlie and Blanca, are not related or not the same character. Well, anyway, Guile prepares to kill Charlie because he's no longer human. To which Dawson, who's a doctor in this film, who was one of the doctors forced to operate on him, says Guile has no right. And then it's here where Guile gets into the machine. Bison notices his $1 million ransom demand hasn't been met. His account is empty, so he prepares to kill the hostages with his new Blanca creature. But Burger King fingers Guile, hitting Bison with a memorable flying kick. This flying kick is so iconic. It's one of the movie. It's a movie poster of its own inside of the original DVD case. The signature flying kick, to which this right here is my favorite scene. The last 30 to 40 plus minutes of the film, where every Street Fighter, every character completes the transformation, transforms into their video game counterpart. Every scene was leading up to these final moments right here. Ryu, Ken, Chun-Li, Balrog, Honda versus T-Hawk and Cammy versus Zangief Sagat, Vega, Bison, and the Bison Troopers. Even Blanca and Dawson getting in on the action, pummeling Bison soldiers. So this is where every character transforms into their quote-unquote Street Fighter counterpart. Their Street Fighter this is where their Street Fighter based counterpart, and then Honda engages in a fight with Zangief, where most of Zangief's clothes gets ripped off in the fight, revealing the underwear, speedos, and boots under him, similar to the video game. Even does towards the end. First he slams him through the wall, then later when Captain Sawada and them Captain Swatter says he has an enemy trap, and it's God, and it's the Honda and Zangief comically fighting over a giant toy, Bisonopolis set. Bisonopolis set like Godzilla with Godzilla sound effects. Godzilla sound effects. Then Guile and them can finally confront Bison, to which Guile says, one of them verbalizes, he says, Bison, he's probably hiding. And then Bison comes on the intercom, hiding? For what do I have to fear of you? You and your soldiers, afraid of the purity of unarmed combat. And Bison says, come from behind the curtain, you wizard. Let's see how pure your combat truly is. Your combat truly is. And they jump on the thing, and Bison jumps on the thing, and he tells Guile, anyone who opposes me will be destroyed. They say their catchphrases. Bison says, anyone who opposes me will be destroyed. And Guile says, Bison, are you man enough to fight with me? And then Guile, as everyone leaves, and they all fight. And they both fight, with Guile immediately having the advantage. Bison's able to get some shots in, a couple of elbows and arm shots, several elbows, including a punch to the gut and a throw. But it's no match for Guile, who hits several cool kicks on him, including 2 signature somersault kicks, and followed by a back kick, a spinning back kick, knocking Bison into the machinery, where Bison gets electrocuted. And comes back then and dies. But the machine brings him back to life, and Bison, now charged with electromagnetism, shoots Guile. Meanwhile, while this is going on, Ryu and Ken, who got into a fight earlier, because Ken, since he was free, Ken figured since the soldiers were here, they can all go back home. And they can all go back home. But Ryu claims he already found something worthwhile, because there are people fighting and dying upstairs, and that's to stay and finish this battle to the end. And they both part ways. But of course, Ken walks into a computer room where he sees Ryu being ambushed by Sagat and Vega. Ryu at first fights Vega, but then gets ambushed by Sagat and is double teamed by both of them. That's not until Ken comes to even up the odds, and Ryu fights Vega and Ken fights Sagat with both Ryu and Ken doing their signature maneuvers. They were goofy, but I love seeing them, because in the Street Fighter, Guile did the Hadouken to Vega, followed by, after a series of blocks and headbutts, the spinning hurricane kick. Then when Sagat, after doing his signature, a realistic version of his signature elbow and knee maneuvers to Ken, he tried to choke Ken with a stick. Ken hit him in the balls with the stick, then did his signature dragon punch to Shiryu Ken without jumping, confidently doing it without jumping. He still looked cool, and still looked badass. West Studi sold it perfect. Then Ken finished him off with a multiple jab punch combo, left hand jab punch combo, followed by a roundhouse kick, which knocked Sagat down. And this is where Ken says, Ryu and Ken, who are con men in this game, says, Sagat, I would think if I had bet you, I might have become you. And back with Guile and Bison. They're still fighting, and Bison is still running over Guile, flying over Guile, hitting him with lightning. It's not until Bison gets up in the air and says the signature phrase, another signature phrase where he quotes the Bible, he said, Bison, he said, Guile, if you have a God, this would be a good time to pray to him, for I beheld Satan as he fell from heaven like lightning. And he flies towards him, and Guile kicks him into the monitor, does his signature Van Damme kick into the monitor. Let me talk about this part right here. I was going to save it for the end, but let me talk about it right now. This scene right here was awesome, but it should have been another somersault flash kick into the machine runner, or a gigantic sonic boom. Sonic boom. Sonic boom is the move we did get to see into the giant monitor. I think that would make the field much more cooler, much more cooler. Well, anyway, this sends Bison into the monitor. This sends Bison into the monitor, and the place begins self-destructing and exploding. Meanwhile, E Honda is still fighting Zangief and does his signature 1,000-hand slap, but he doesn't do the 1,000 hands. But he doesn't do the 1,000 hands. But he does the signature maneuver. When Chun-Li says, "Come on, Honda, it's time to go." Chun-Li, Honda says, "Sorry, man, I can't play no more." Then Zangief comically says, "Coward, get back here." Then he sees DJ trying to escape with some money. He says, "DJ." He says, "Scream, DJ. Why are you not in uniform? Can't you see the enemies of peace and justice around our walls?" And then DJ comically tells Zangief, "Are you totally demented, man? Our boss is the enemy of peace and justice. All these people come around the world to stop him." And then Zangief says, if you do this, why do you serve him?" And then DJ says, "Because he paid me a fortune, you moron. You got paid, and it's here where Zangief decides to have one last hero moment and join the good guys by stopping one of the closing doors from closing by using his super strength to lift it up, allowing everyone to escape. Dawson chooses to stay behind and die with Blanca. Charlie says he can't return to the world. Not looking like this. And Guile said, "Dawson, you said you did nothing." And Dawson said, "If good men do nothing, that's bad enough. That's evil enough." And Dawson, another thing I like, he looks just like his video game counterpart now. He must have got He must have got his hair and stuff burned off from the chemicals earlier when one of the Bison troopers knocked him into the chemicals. Then he stays in the place blows up, and everyone thinks Guile is dead, but Guile emerges from the smoke, revealing that he somehow survived. And the film ends with everyone doing their signature pose from the Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, video game, and that's how it ends. And there's a tribute to Raw Julie at the end. Then the ending credits play, and then when the ending credits are over, at the end, Bison shows he somehow survives and smashes his arm through the computer. Some say that this was an attempt at a sequel. Some say it was just a tribute to Raw Julia. Either way, it was awesome. So, yeah, like I said, awesome movie. My favorite is the final battle, where everyone transforms into their character, followed by every other scene in this film. It's still one of my all-time favorite and one of the most exciting movies of all time, and one of the best in the 90s. Like I said, when I think the 90s, this is one of the films I think about. And it was a good alternate world Street Fighter. Now for the bad. Like I mentioned before, New Challenge was getting it worse. But the second problem I have is the film they chose to make versus the film they should have made. They made an action adventure comedy film reminiscent of the 90s and 80s. Like Commando and Die Hard and James Bond and those films. That is great and all, but if you wanted to make that, you should have left Street Fighter alone. That's another thing. As awesome as this movie was, it would have been more awesome if it was just a regular Jean-Claude Van Damme film, loosely based on the Street Fighter franchise, and not trying to be Street Fighter makes. That's a problem I have with a lot of adaptations. They would be much better if they were something else and not what they're trying to be. They should have made a tournament movie. Steven D'Souza, it said that he didn't make a tournament movie because he saw the previous films, Super Mario Brothers and Double Dragon. Street Fighter is way bigger and way better, way more popular than those, especially Double Dragon. And I think if you had a tournament movie, it would have been much better, well received. Several B movies like Shoot Fighter, which I gotta talk about that. The Shoot Fighter movies, Heat Seeker, all of these underground B martial arts movies were more Street Fighter than the Street Fighter movie. Van Damme's previous film, 4 years before this, Lionheart, was more Street Fighter than this film. Right here. They should have been a tournament movie with infusion of chi and stuff, which is the next problem I have. Apart from they were fighting Bison troopers, Bison Troopers, and a couple of signature maneuver moments. All the Street Fighter characters felt like normal people. The Street Fighter characters are powerful. They can smash bricks, cars with their bare hands and feet. With their bare hands and with their bare hands and feet. So
Those guys will be happy to see us.
Helltown Bison, these guys are fanatics.
That was another problem I had. That was actually one thing that the Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li, which is inferior to this movie, did better. The Legend of Chun-Li portrayed these characters, how powerful they are in the game, and had lots of cool chi training and chi based Hadouken, chi-based moments, and that's why that was one thing that movie did better than this. That movie did better than this. So that was the second thing I didn't like. The third thing was I mentioned the switching of several allegiances, but yeah, these were the things I quote unquote didn't like about the film. And I mentioned Van Damme. I mentioned Jean-Claude Van Damme about being a good Guile, and for the most part capturing the personality and character of Guile. I didn't like his personality in this film. He felt like a goofy, cocky action hero, flamboyant cocky action hero, and instead of the super serious and badass Guile. I think of one thing Guile, I think manly and badass, no nonsense. When I think the character of Guile. So and yeah, I kind of didn't get that here. Yeah.
No one has ever seen you in combat.
So yeah, but there were several good things to come from this movie. Number one was the Street Fighter cartoon, which came out 1 year after this, and incorporated elements of this movie, but also used stuff from the video games. Incorporated more stuff from the video games. Then you have the very awesome Street Fighter, the movie video games. You have a very console version, which is similar to Street Fighter 2. Then you have the much superior arcade version, which is similar to Mortal Kombat 3 and Killer Instinct, and the Killer Instinct game, which was also around at the same time. Then also had a pretty good, cool comic book novelization of the film. You also had a great soundtrack with so many awesome songs, such as the Something There song by the Asian pop singers, the Some Things That We're Fighting For song, which I think played in this video. Hopefully I'm gonna get copyright for that. And then there was Ice Cube's Street Fighter, which I also love that song. That briefly plays in the beginning, and in the post credits, MC Hammer Straight to My Feet. There's even a music video featuring him, Jean-Claude Van Damme, Jay Tabar, who portrayed Vega, and Andrew Bryanerski, who portrayed Zingy, and several Bison Troopers. Then what else about this awesome movie? Right here, going back to the cast. You have a phenomenal cast. You have Jean-Claude Van Damme as Guile, the late great Raul Julia as Bison, Byron McMahon as Ryu, the not being and Chaba as Ken, Now Man as Chun-Li. Who else? I can't stand. Who else? Westy as Sagat, Jay Tabar as Vega, Miguel Nuez as DJ, Grant L. Bush as Balrog, Peter Valdez-Sinato, I think that's his name, as Honda, Andrew Bryanerski as Zingy, Kylie Minogue as Candy, pop singer Kylie Minogue as Candy, Greg Rainwater as T-Hawk, keep forgetting the actor who portrays Blanca, and Roshan C. as Dulcie. So
Subject muscle mass increased by 71%.
so yeah, yeah, these were things I didn't like about the film. Was still a good movie, and this was the first video game to turn a profit, not a paid tribute to Raw Julia, remembering Raw Julia. He actually didn't want to be in this film, but his kids were such huge fans of the video game that he did everything in his power. He did everything in his power. Raw Julia, he was one of those actors, no matter how terrible it is, he's professional enough to give it the performance it deserved, and that's one thing I like. No matter what it was, he and similar actors I know just like him will act like it's Shakespeare, no matter how terrible it is, and they will do it the best they could, and he did. He was one of the best things about this film, and his incarnation of Bison is one of my all-time favorites, and God rest his soul. He passed away before this film was even released. He passed away, I think, September of 1994. September of 1994. When the film was finally released in December of 94, and yeah, he was awesome. Sucks he was in poor health because he couldn't physically match Van Damme. They had to make him because he wasn't in good health. They had to make him an average. They had to make him an average fighter. So yeah, that was the late great Raw Julia. So far, he's the only known cast member to have passed away in this film. So like I said, a great cast of characters. There was supposed to be a sequel, according to Wikipedia, in 2003 with Jean-Claude Van Damme, Byron May, and Damien Chazelle returning, but several of the other characters portrayed by new actors with a plot more similar to the game, but instead of the sequel, the rights, I remember for a while seeing rumors of this, but instead of a sequel, the rights defaulted back from Universal Studios to 20th Century Fox, who used that to make the movie Street Fighter Legend of Chun-Li. They should have made the sequel to this. Because Legend of Chun-Li, I understand what that film tried to do, but no, you should have made just like this one, you should have made a martial arts tournament based movie with infusion of chi and stuff. Yeah, well, that upset one of the critics, some critics, but I think the other half of critics and the fanboys especially would have loved the film, because that's what Mortal Kombat did. And look, that's still to this day one of the greatest video game adaptations ever. New Mortal Kombat looks like trash. There's been Street Fighter Assassin's Fist. Street Fighter Assassin's Fist adaptation-wise is better than this, but in my opinion, movie-wise, is inferior to this movie right here. This movie right here, and this movie did several things better than the other versions of Street Fighter, and that's Zangief. I love his treatment in this movie in comparison to his treatment everywhere else, especially in the other alternate adaptations where he's constantly getting the shaft. He's constantly with the bad guys despite his neutral alignment in the game, and is constantly being beat up or killed in some comical fashion, and never seen again in any of these versions. This is the one of the only adaptations of Street Fighter outside of the video games and comic books to do Zangief justice. So yeah, this was my review of Street Fighter 1994. A video commentary review will definitely come in the future. And before that, another movie and product tie-in review is coming in the future with the comic book and video game tie-in with the movie. That's coming in the near future. So with that being said, you want to hear the rest of the music, turn the video off right now.
Our defenses are locked onto you. Identify yourself. This is the collection agency, Bison. Your ass is 6 months over.